Next up, we have, what's it, Fargo? Right?
Fargo.
So, I believe we both enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, well, hold on a second, man.
Huh?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to give us a little bit of time just in case people was, bored and you need to have to put a cut point right there.
Oh.
Editing in real time.
Yeah.
Any case, but yeah, Fargo. Yeah. Great. Didn't like the last episode too much. Once again, spoilers all over the place.
Yeah.
Turn this off if you don't like spoilers and things like that. But I think it's very difficult to do something like this without divulging more information than.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But great show. Fantastic direction. Some of the best direction I've seen.
Now, he's more technical on this stuff than I am. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, normally when you see people doing things on television with I believe the 4.3 aspect ratio, and you see the way the camera moves, you don't see a lot of like ballistic camera moves too much. You don't see like I remember at one point there was like a lot of shaky cam. You think of things that they do theatrically. Well, when I think of like some of the better directors that have a better command of the camera and how to move it around and how to take certain angles, and they take certain risks of what to show you and what not to show you. Sometimes they fuck with focus. They do different things to let you know that, hey, we're an artist or whatever. And most television shows is pretty much, it seems to be by the numbers. It seems to be like, okay, I need an establishing shot here, I need a 2 shot here, I need whatever. And it's just pretty much, it just doesn't look theatrical. The way in which they shot this particular show, and especially some of the, like I said, the camera choices and camera angles, I was just like completely surprised. And more importantly, like there was a shootout, there were 2 shootouts on the show that I think was some of the best work that I've seen on television when it comes to stuff like this. How it was more about what you did not see and what you heard and how the camera moved around. One of it was when Malvo went to Fargo to take care of the people that put the hit out on him. That's what got the 2 FBI agents in trouble. And so the character of Malvo, which is Billy Bob Thornton, who is like the main villain of the show, who's more like a Loki character because he's almost like mystical in a way in which he can manipulate certain situations or manipulate people. So he realized that there was a hit put out on him, and he went into the building, and the camera stayed on the outside of the building. And if he went up from the first floor to the second floor, the thing just dollied up. And it lets you know that he was on that floor. But all the time you can hear what was going on. Stop, don't shoot, what you're doing here, blah, 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 blah. He's asking questions, and you can put everything together in your mind. Then at one point, somebody came flying out the window, and then the whole scene went by. You didn't see one bullet go off. And then the guy comes downstairs, and he leaves. Now, this was done because, A, it saved money. You didn't have to have stuntmen, squibs, and all this other kind of crap going on there and coordinate that whole scene. And it put everything in your mind because to see Billy Bob Thornton probably doing what he did, you could probably criticize him. This fucking skinny old man is not going to be able to do all of this shit. But in your mind, you can put it together better because if they show it and it doesn't really hold mustard to you, you can become critical. So I love that, and I love the sequence in the snow fight. I mean, when it was the shootout in the snow. Which I thought was it was like almost a POV of Tom Hanks' son. What was his name? Colin Hanks. What's his name?
Colin Hanks. Yeah.
Colin Hanks. And the way they did it, you felt snowblind, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on? I can't see anything." But that's the point. So it immersed you into that environment at that moment. And once again, you had to rely on sound and what you could not see, and rely on other senses. And I think that was a very bold move that probably was just practical for the director's sake, or maybe, like I said, I don't know what the budget of the show was, but and they constantly do things like that on the show to where I'm like, wow, this is really, really, really well directed, Even to when they were reenacting how the first chief got shot when Lester was in the hospital. And he was, thinking of how the bullet went through the guy and went to his hand. Just the way they did, it's just really well done. It's just really well done. It has a weird. It almost reminds me of Twin Peaks, to take it back in the day. Show I think it was late '80s, early '90s, something like that. And yeah, so if you guys ever saw that Twin Peaks, it reminds me of that. And I love the show. Acting is great. Writing
And
is
well,
great.
yeah, well written, very well
Yeah.
written.
A lot of good lines. A lot of for those people out there, because there's a bunch of people out there that they judge writing on how quizzical the characters may be, or how pithy or snappy the dialogue is. Which to me, I think
Really,
that
people like to do that.
yeah, man, yeah, exactly.
Now you did have an issue, and I agree.
Oh
to
yeah,
a
with
degree.
with the last episode, yes, I did.
No, not just the last episode. With the Barney Fife syndrome
Oh yeah, well,
going
absolutely.
on.
I mean,
With the police in this town.
The police in this town are that's an insult to Barney Fife. Once again, do your research. An inept, incompetent, character from Mayberry, right? What was the show again?
Andy Griffith Show.
The Andy Griffith Show, and these police officers were so incompetent. Now I understand, like they sort of like threw it out there that we don't see a lot of this stuff in this town, but okay, fine. If I've never seen aliens walking down the street. But if I do see aliens walking down the street, I'm going to hopefully respond either by running, screaming, something. I'm going to respond to the aliens walking down the street. These people could not put one and one together and come up with two to save their lives. They were borderline. It was like I said, it was almost as if Homer Simpson and the father from the Family Guy were merged into one person, and that person's DNA was placed in all of the police in this town, except for one. It was just,
and that's possibly even worse, the fact that there was one deputy that was trying to put things together
in a logical way that you can clearly see,
and she was being shouted down and ignored.
Ignored and it was such a stupid way to where the people, it was almost as if because after seeing it the last two episodes again, it was almost as if what the police chief said when he gave over the duties to her, that he really didn't want the job. He thought that the guy that was killed, who obviously the sheriff was on point. That's why he got blasted, because he was on point doing his work. This guy really didn't want it, so it was almost like he was, I don't know if he was pretending to be this ignorant, but he said all he ever wanted to do was chill with his wife and fish. He didn't really ever want to do any of that stuff. So I think maybe he knew what she was talking about, but didn't want to face the reality of it. But then, I'm sorry, then allocate the duties elsewhere. Because you're talking about people's lives here. There's a guy in jail who doesn't belong in jail, which is Lester's brother, because you didn't want to face up to your job. No matter how they sliced it, that was bad. That was probably the poorest element of this show. And then when the two FBI guys, who themselves were seen as like a Laurel and Hardy kind of Abbott and Costello buffoon team, came and they saw the deputy's chart, they're like, wait a second, this guy called this guy on this day, and you didn't think that connection had anything to do with, are you serious? It was, and that sort of knocked me out. It's like the show would pull me in, and then when that stupidness happened, it would knock me right out of the show, to the point where I was like, oh, fuck, just get past this stuff so I can get back into this world, because it's I can't stand seriously stupid characters on television. So that was my biggest gripe as far as in the overall writing on the show. I think they wrote those characters just a little too on the simple side, and the way they wrapped the story up.
Well, I was just gonna say before we get to the ending that, and it's hard to actually say this being in the light of what we just said.
I missed my cup.
But for the most part, it wasn't too far-fetched, because these characters, like the Lester character, which was the main, or in this case, kind of like the sub-bad guy, who became a real bad guy by the end of the, which is a nice evolution of the character.
And he was worse than Malvo, because Malvo was a professional.
Right.
He did things because that's his job. This guy was just scum. I mean, he was awful.
But it seemed like it was almost so cut and dry they should have been caught like 5, 6, 7 episodes ago, but yet somehow he wasn't. And so part of it was due to the buffoon sheriff that we just were discussing. But I think for the most part, it was some rather decent, pretty good writing that and certainly the Malvo character.
Oh yeah.
He just was like you said, it was almost mythical how he was able to get in and out of situations. And obviously a little bit of luck, like when he went to the diner to talk to.
Oh yeah, it just happened to leave right before
yeah,
the deputy came in.
But
or how he happened to do that entire shootout and come back when these two imbeciles were in the car.
Right. But you know, things happen, I guess.
Okay. I mean, but the random, okay. I always say, when it comes to films or whatever property you create, whatever you say in your world, like if I wrote a story about two guys, doing a talk show like this, and I said this thing was a nuclear bomb, and I would animate explosions on it, even though people know that Ice-T is not a bomb, on my show I can do what the fuck I want. So on their show, they could establish whatever they want as long as they adhere to it. They made this Malvo character seem to be 2 and sometimes 4 steps ahead of everyone. The whole thing about the police scanner, all the different things he did to establish that this guy was a serious professional. For him to meet his maker in such a random way as Colin Hanks' character driving up the road, ooh, there's a coyote or something in the road. Oh, let me stop because I don't want to run over it. And then as soon as he looks to the side, oh shit, I happen to stop at the exact spot where Malvo is, and there's Malvo coming out the house. So let me, get the drop on him.
But that's not, I don't think that's horrible. It would have been horrible if, Colin Hanks like stumbled and his gun fell and it went off and then shot the Malvo character.
But he shouldn't even have been there. The fact, if they had done some police work, they had already established that his now wife was on point. If somehow she was like, go check out this section, and he went there and then, oh shit, there he is, I would have accepted that. But to just randomly just be, oh, I'm just driving anywhere, and I'm just driving, oh shit, I don't want to run over this thing right at the spot where Malvo is. I didn't like that. I did not like that. I don't like that in movies. I don't like that in television. I don't like that in books. I don't like that random foolishness because basically, to me, it sounds like, we got 20 minutes left and we've got to get rid of this Malvo character. And we have not established anything up to this point of how he should be caught. So I just throw some random shit in there. Come on, man. I don't like that. I did not like. And according to some, what Burrell said, that was one of the most disappointing season finales they said of the year. Or whatever. He said it was something on Google. Hopefully I'll find the links and we'll put the links up there to that stuff. But he said that there was a lot of big talk about that being, a horribly dissatisfying episode. And I wasn't totally turned off by the whole thing, but I did not like that. Don't establish a character like Malvo and have him die in such a random way. That's corny. That shit's corny.
I still don't necessarily agree. It's like, it wasn't random.
Man.
The guy lucked up on his spot. Okay, he still had to wait there that whole fucking time.
Okay, now I understand that, but still.
It was pretty clever because I didn't see it coming.
What?
The bear trap.
Oh, no. The whole thing with the bear trap and with Lester, I kind of see that I liked because it was showing that Lester was not the same meek, timid character. Because the show started with him just being a stuttering, stammering punk getting bullied by this dude. And he was just getting bullied by his wife. He was getting bullied by everybody. So he took his first stance for himself by fucking smashing his wife over the head and killing her. And then obviously contacting basically making that deal with the Malvo character. So it was showing that he was transitioning into the scum that he was by the final episode, the self-confident scum, because he had just won a Best Salesman of the Year. And if you notice, the name of the place had changed.
Yeah, it was his place.
It was his place, So that's cool. So the whole thing with the bear trap was in keeping with his character not being a bitch no more. But that random for you out there, if you've already seen it, please chime in and tell me if maybe I'm just making something out of nothing. But if you guys feel that that you had an issue with that, or maybe something else, because that was my gripe. My gripe was the Malvo character. I knew he had to go. There's no way this person, this evil, doing this kind of Duke Dastardly shit was going to last. But to have it done that way, that was not satisfying.
Dastardly.
What? Duke Dastardly? Dick Dastardly?
Yeah.
Well, some dastardly motherfucker. Why, you was watching it recently?
No, I was just telling Des about it.
Dick Dastardly?
Yeah.
And what was his dog name? Snidely? Muttley? And that was, okay, so yeah, that was, Dick Dastardly, that was in Wacky Races, right?
Yeah. Well, they're the Wacky Races
that pigeon.
And the Laugh Olympics.
The Laugh Olympics, yeah. Well, that's right. That's when they had the Bash Brothers, which was basically Captain Caveman and his brother.
No, I guess so.
Because remember, they had their own car in the Wacky Races. It was the Bash Brothers. And they, I think
Oh, you're talking about the Wacky Races?
The Wacky Races, and they had their own car, but it was basically Captain Caveman and his brother. There's two wild cavemen. I mean, they look like, what, two cacti and shit with clubs, right?
Kind of. Like Cousin It.
Yeah.
Except you can see eyes and a nose.
Yeah, your eyes and a nose. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did like Cousin It. But in any case, Dick Dastardly. You have a dude bad like that, you know. But it would have been brilliant if he got away. That would have really been good because I actually
thought that was where it was heading.
I have a problem with American television always feeling that the bad guy must die and the good guy must get away. I mean, the good guy must win. I mean, I think back to movies like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, right, back in the 80s. Well, I think it was 80s or early 90s. I forgot, Michael Rooker. He got away with it. Never got caught. The recent No
Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men. Character got away. Miami Vice. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but the main drug dealer, they never touched him. They never got him. The French Connection, he got away. That's why when they did that second one, people was like, yo, you're ruining it because, you know, the guy got away. Sometimes people get away. There's been a lot of movies, you know, where from what I understand, Training Day, that's why I can't stand that movie, the character was supposed to live. The what was his name? The Denzel Washington character. Alonzo's character was supposed to live, from what I understand, in one of the drafts. And Denzel Washington was like, "Nah, man, the character's so bad, he has to die." And they just sort of like tacked it on in an illogical way. But that's for another discussion. But I think it would have been really great if that Malvo character had just disappeared, never to be seen again, at least within the characters of this particular series. I think that would have been more powerful.
It probably would have been. But, I also did like the fact that the Colin Hanks character, it wasn't a Greedo situation.
Oh, no, he just cold murdered that motherfucker. He just executed him.
Right there on the couch.
Yeah, he just killed him. Malvo didn't reach for a gun. He didn't do anything. And when he realized that the first three didn't do it, he put two more in his face. So which is what you're supposed to do to a savage psycho killer.
Basically.
You're not supposed to let him get the drop on you. The guy's already established that he can just look at you and make you do something that you don't want to do, which was what he did when he was pulled over. So, I have no problem with that. But he should not have been there that way. I wish his wife had given him a tip or something. So that was my gripe with the show.
But still a good
overall,
series. Definitely you should check it
magnificent
out.
Television for all those people that really like the acting and the direction, for the people that are more technical. Fantastic television. I don't believe you can go wrong. And just because I had an issue with the last episode does not mean that as a whole I would not recommend it to somebody, because obviously I'm recommending it. So definitely check that out. Definitely check Fargo out.